Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Grace International Virtual Fair 2020, which is scheduled to run from 20 to 24th of July with different event schedule at different time slots every day. But during this event, we have been talking to different education providers from Australia, learning about the updated information regarding courses, the impact of COVID-19, and what the future looks like. Today, we'll be talking to a representative of Blue Mountains International Hotel Management School, which was founded in 1991 and become part of the Torrens University in 2015, which is operating out of Sydney, Melbourne, and recently Adelaide as well. We are joined today by Faye Fernandez, the Assistant Area Manager for Subcontinent and Middle East. Welcome, Faye. How are you?
I'm great, Manish. Thank you so much for having me today. I hope my voice is clear.
It's loud and clear. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. So welcome everyone to today's session. Manish, is it good if I can just go ahead and start with the presentation?
No problems. Please go ahead.
Great. All right. So guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I can see in the participants, I can actually see a couple of students who I'm already familiar with, who have already offers out from us. So today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you a couple of slides with regards to where we stand as an institution, what our programs are like, what you can expect from us. And towards the end of that, I'm going to be talking about what we are currently doing with regards to the COVID-19 situation and how we are taking active steps for our students. If you have any questions, please do put them in the chat box. Manish will collate them and we'll coordinate after I finish the presentation to address all of your questions. And then we'll try and have a more open Q&A session after that.
Yeah,
so I'm just going to go ahead and start. Like I said, like Manish introduced, my name is Faye Fernandez. I'm the Assistant Area Manager for the Blue Mountains International Hotel Management School and other hospitality programs at Torrens University. Just a quick recap and an understanding of where we are as a university, where we are as an institute, and what kind of students we have. So we actually have, in 2019, we had over 16,000 students enroll with Torrens University. And we have a couple of really outstanding reasons why students sign on with us. One is that the kind of program and the kind of teaching method and the interactions that they have lead to a 90% retention in students. What this means is essentially that students continue to study and complete their program with us. They're not joining us and then leaving us because, they find that they're not happy with us. 90% is really high. And we also have fantastic placements. All of our hospitality programs include internships as part of your learning track, and we have fantastic networkings with industry employers. And this sort of feedback loop, when we do update our syllabus, update our programs, we actually go back to companies in the industry. And to really get feedback from them to say, what are you looking for and what kind of subjects do you think are now relevant? So that's how we also upgrade our syllabus. And we have a very high employment rate for students upon graduation. Typically, it's the hospitality graduates see it's a 95% placement rate after graduation. So what are the statistics that we're really looking at when we talk about only the hospitality graduates with us? 95% of them, like I said, have a job within 3 months of graduation. And in fact, most of our students have a job even before they graduate. And this will be because of several different factors that you are exposed to during the duration of your program. So one is, of course, we have fantastic career fairs before your internship and before your placement for upon graduation, which actually gives you one-on-one face-to-face time with employers, of course. But outside of that, we have a lot of support and a lot of networking opportunities during your program. So aside from this, we have a body of people called success coaches, which is our version of a career cell. And you work one-on-one with a success coach to help build your professional profile right from the first term. It doesn't happen only during internship or only when you have to go for a job interview. It happens, the whole idea is that it takes time to build your profile for you to really understand how to navigate the professional, minefield. So we help you do that. So we teach you how to write a CV. We conduct Gallup tests for students to understand what is your working and thinking style. We'll guide you about how do you interview with a company. As many of you might already know, if you all have sat for job interviews, before this, as you get older and as you get more experience in the field, sitting for a job interview is not only about what you know about the subject. It's also about what you know about the company. As much as you have to justify, interviews have also changed where you can question the employer about certain things, about why you should be hired with them. So all of these things, as things are changing, it's also updated for the students. Aside from this, 75% of our students get jobs directly in hospitality and the more obvious roles, face-to-face roles. Outside of that, students will work in related fields. I'll talk about that in the next slide. And most of our students will see at least their first promotion within the first 18 months, 1.5 years after graduation. The reason you can do this is because, like I said, the building up of your professional profile does not happen overnight. You have to connect yourself with your peers, with your alumni. We have a very strong alumni network. And you have to stay in touch with people even after you graduate. That's what really builds a successful network for you in terms of your professional network. So realistically, when you say that I will get a job in this kind of company, or I will get a job in this kind of role, what are you really looking at? So for those who are attending today, if you already understand something of hotels, or if you've studied your bachelor's and already done your internship, you will know that the most obvious roles in hotels, for example, is things like front office, housekeeping, food and beverage. And those are the more obvious roles where students get jobs, right? Because those are the bigger departments where they need a lot of people. But aside from this, all of our programs also touch upon departments like HR, marketing, accounting, revenue. And this is because we want you to understand how it works as a business. And also you may start in front office, but you also know what are your other opportunities to grow from front office or to grow from housekeeping. So, and there are all different pathways, career pathways. There's no one fixed pathway for anybody. Aside from hotels, students may also get into events. Again, you have pathways through our hotel programs, our hospitality programs to find that. Restaurant and culinary, of course, for students seeking to be a chef. We have undergraduate programs. We have undergraduate programs where student can do a bachelor degree, 3 years bachelor degree in culinary management directly under Torrens. And once you complete that program, you actually have the option not just to be a chef, but say if you actually are more interested in restaurant management, maybe your goal is to become a restaurant manager, to maybe someday open your own restaurant. This is also a great program. Remember that you may not want to work in the kitchen long time, but if your goal is to run a restaurant, you have to know how the kitchen works. You have to have first-hand knowledge, because ultimately that is the basis of it's a food business, and your kitchen will always be the basis of how you run that business. We also have an undergraduate program in tourism management. Tourism is often misunderstood because people only see, the top 2 or 3 most obvious job roles. So you will have becoming something like, a travel agent, where either you'll be working for an e-company, an e-commerce company, or you might be working with a one-on-one company where you create travel packages for people, which is a fantastic way to get into the travel industry if you want to learn more. Or you may also think about becoming a tour guide. Again, a tour guide might seem very easy, but even if you right now, wherever you're living, if you're in your hometown, if I had to ask you to be a tour guide in your own city, would you actually be able to point out the important landmarks of your city and actually know the history behind it? If you took me on a half-an-hour walking tour, would you be able to know where the clinics are in case of a medical emergency with somebody on your tour? Would you know which are the safe places for eating? So these are the kind of things, even if you say you're a tour guide, there are a lot of things that go into it. There are a lot of things to know, in terms of how licensing works in your city, in your country, so on and so forth. Aside from that, people can actually go on to become consultants, experts in a particular destination. You can be a part of a tourism policy making board, both private or government. And You can also open your own travel agency. For those in Nepal, the country is beautiful, and as you all might know, there are certain locations that are built when you talk about paragliding, skydiving, bungee jumping. This is all tourism development. You develop a destination with certain activities because you want people to come and visit your place, and you give them forms of entertainment so that they have things to do. That's part of tourism and destination development. The last category of jobs that people would look for, or the kind of companies that would hire hospitality graduates, is alternative industries like banking industry, retail, commercial, customer service, and of course teaching. If you've studied, worked for a while, you always bring back much better experience to a hospitality or hotel management college. The other industries that I mentioned, like banking and commercial retail or luxury retail, the main thing that you as a hospitality graduate actually bring to the table is your interpersonal skills. So to put it very bluntly, you can learn about any product. If you were hired by a Louis Vuitton, you would learn about the history and the product and what kind of clientele they had. If you were working for an HSBC with high-end clientele in that bank branch, you would learn about what are the various things that the bank offers. But one thing that is really difficult to teach, which hospitality grads are really good at because they've had so much of training and exposure, is how to deal with people, how to treat people like they're good clients, like they are the ROI that you get from your clients, how to treat them like they are valued accounts. And this is what students actually, what hospitality grads actually bring to the table when these kind of companies hire. So I hope I've given you a very broad understanding of how hospitality grads actually can also, switch industries while still keeping to the core of what they know and what is their main skill set. So now we come down to the programs that we actually offer. The main programs that we offer are 4 undergraduate programs and 1 master's program. These are the main face-to-face programs that we have. So we have a Bachelor of Business in International Hotel and Resort Management. This is offered by the Blue Mountains International Hotel Management School. And we have the Masters in International Hotel Management, which is again offered by Blue Mountains. The other 3 programs of Culinary Management, Bachelor of Business in Hospitality Management, and Bachelor of Business in Tourism Management are offered directly under Torrens University through William Blue College. The main distinction here is that, of course, Torrens University is relatively newer as compared to Blue Mountains. Blue Mountains is actually over 25 years old, and it has a lot of standing. It's got an old reputation and a very solid reputation. It's actually the #1 hotel school in Asia Pacific. So that's why we like to highlight that brand, because we have a huge alumni network behind as well. So I'm just going to cover the programs now. So this is the Bachelor of Business in International Hotel and Resort Management. This is conducted by Blue Mountains. Now, when students start our program, this is actually a fast track 2.5-year program. The outstanding thing about this particular program is that it's conducted on a residential campus. So if you look at the program structure in front of you, you will see a couple of different colored blocks. You will see, LAURA, industry placement, LAURA, industry placement, and non-residential campus. When our students start with us, the first 6 months they start on our LAURA campus, which is 1.5 hours away from Sydney. This residential campus is built like a simulated hotel. We have 3 restaurants on campus. We have a massive library. We have a full-fledged working laundry. So you actually get to see a lot of equipment and a lot of, operational systems already in play even before you go for your first internship. The whole idea of the way the program is structured is to give you maximum hands-on training. So 6 months at LAURA, study, learning, practicals. Then after that, you go for your very first internship where you're living completely off campus and you're working and earning full-time. In the second year, the cycle is the same. Of course, you have different advanced subjects. You study for 6 months and then you go again for your second internship for another 6 months. In the last 6 months, in the third year, you move to a non-residential campus in Sydney. And here, you're only attending day class. You're living on your own. You're taking care of your own accommodation and living. And the idea behind this is that in the last phase of your program, We want to move you to a more, mature phase. It gives you a good 6 months to really transition from living onto a residential campus where it's kind of a safety net and it's a safer environment, to transitioning into a more professional individual, because this is also where you really start actively looking at your long-term placements after graduation. And what does that mean for you? So that means the location of the campus is also in the business district, which is like, walking distance to a lot of hotels, or max to max 10 minutes train ride away from another, within as large as the business district is in Sydney. So the idea is that you become more independent, you become more mature, you learn to juggle. During this time, you'll also be able to work part-time because you'll be in Sydney. So the idea is to really help you transition into a full-fledged working adult and professional. So this, like I said, is 2.5 years, full-time degree, 2 internships of 6 months each. You start on a residential campus and you finish on a non-residential campus. On this campus, I've already covered the fact that we have restaurants, laundry. As far as living is concerned, students will typically share a twin sharing room with somebody, ideally of another nationality. Because again, the idea is you want an international student body. You want to be able to really be more accepting and understanding and really integrate yourself into what it means to be an international community. And you have access to 24/7 support, which is medical, or if you have emergencies, whatever it is, there's a lot of support provided on campus itself. So this is the fee structure for this particular degree. The total comes up to $112,000. That includes the residential part at Laura and all of the tuition fees. During the industry placement, you're not paying any fees at all to the school, but you are working and earning full time. So I'm going to talk now about the other 3 undergraduate programs that we have. We have, like I said, a hospitality management, a tourism management, and a culinary management program. For the most part, all 3 programs have have more or less the same program structure. It's a 3-year program, full-time degree with 1 internship in the second year of approximately 6 months. This is on a non-residential campus, and the campus is located in Sydney. So again, very ideally located, very close to the business district. This is really great for students who want to do an undergraduate degree in one of these, hospitality, tourism, or culinary. And you already have friends or family in Sydney. You don't want to stay on a residential campus. And this gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of how you can manage your time. So this is the fee structure for the 3 programs. For tourism and for hospitality each, you have the fees come up to approximately 70,000 Australian dollars. This is only tuition fee that covers the full 3 years. Of course, we've not included residential because we don't have any accommodation. For the Bachelor of Culinary Management, your total comes up to approximately $76,000. That's because you have a lot more hands-on training. You have a lot of other equipment and uniforms as well. So this is where we are located. We are in Sydney. This should give you a much better idea of our location in the city itself. As you can see, it's very close to the business district, and one of our best-selling points actually is the William Blue Dining Restaurant. This is a restaurant that is completely owned by us and run by our students, of course, with supervision. But for the most part, it's all of our undergraduate students who have not yet graduated who are running the restaurant, and it's a live restaurant. So if you went on TripAdvisor and you search for restaurants in Sydney, there's a good chance that William Blue Dining will come up in the top 10 or top 20 restaurants in Sydney. It's open to the paying public, and the advantage for us, of course, is that our hospitality and culinary students get fantastic hands-on training with a live business module, right? You're working and you're learning on the go. So even if you make mistakes, you're doing it in a live business module and you can learn from them. So I'd like to give you an example of one of our more successful and more well-known alumni from William Blue. So he actually completed his advanced diploma before we actually had a streamlined bachelor degrees. Before we had our streamlined bachelor degrees, he completed an advanced diploma. But he worked for some time. He actually won MasterChef Korea, and after that he came back to us to complete his bachelor degree in hospitality management, and he's gotten a fair bit of traction in his home country with YouTube. So again, this is a very unusual but very relevant to today's youth and how they're progressing with their own career path. Like I said before, there's no one way to do it. As long as you are happy, you are utilizing the skills that you have, and you are seeing success for yourself, both job wise and monetary, you're a success. So every career path is individual. You don't have to follow somebody else only. The last program, and probably our most popular program, is the Masters in International Hotel Management. This is currently run at Sydney, Melbourne, and Adelaide. Adelaide has just been added to, was planned since the start of the year to start with the July intake onwards. Unfortunately, our students who have signed up for Adelaide have yet to see the campus because of the current COVID-19 situation. But of course, once the travel ban lifts, students will be able to travel to whichever city they've opted for. Now, this program is run at the non-residential campus in Sydney. This is a full-time 2-year degree program. You have one internship of 6 months in the second year. So again, here it's a lot of exposure. We're giving you the opportunity to have an internship, learn with hands-on training, and have finished for those who have finished their bachelor degree in hotel management or hospitality management, and if you've already done your internship, don't worry, this is not repetitive. You're actually learning a lot of advanced subjects and a lot of management related stuff. This is the fee structure of the master's program. As you can see, it's very straightforward. The total comes up to 46,200 for tuition only. Like I said, all of the campuses are non-residential, so that's something that will be up to you. You can really totally make your choice about where you want to live. So I thought it would be really great to give you an idea, especially I know we have a lot of master students, to show you where our prior alumni have reached, what they've done. If you see the names of the people, they're very diversified from all over the world. You can also see they're placed all over the world with different companies and with very different titles. So, of course, I'll just highlight a few for you. If you look on the top right side, there's Blue Waves Group, which is Sapporo, Japan, and somebody is the director of business. You have somebody, if you look at the bottom, you in Jakarta, you have somebody who's a catering executive at the Westin. If you look just a little to the left, you have somebody in Mexico who's groups and conventions manager. I think, if you ask somebody 15 years back, why would you create a hotel only for conventions? Because they don't happen that often, and you're building, why would you, create a hotel only for something that happens maybe once a year? But now with the amount people travel, the amount of events that pretty much every sector has different, for those of you, I'm sure before the COVID-19, before the lockdown, some of you all might have also attended, education fairs, just like Grace is doing right now. We're doing it virtually, but there would have been so many other education fairs that you would have attended at a hotel, right? So now you also have something like, you have hotels that are coming up only built for conventions and for big events, so that the whole layout is planned so that you have a lot of open spaces, and it's set up in a way that you have a lot of smaller rooms where you have all of these smaller presentations and all of this. So hospitality is ever growing, it keeps changing, and as the world turns, you will have requirements for other things which we never thought of before. So this is just to give you an example of all of our older alumni, how they've progressed and how they've, like I said, every career path is different. So just to highlight why the campus, if you look up where our campus is actually located in each of the cities of Sydney, Melbourne, and Adelaide, you'll actually see that they're all close to the business district. And the idea is to put it closer to where other hospitality businesses are run, because we know that students want to also obviously do their part-time work. So the idea is to give you a better handle on how to juggle your time and to make it kind of easier. This also makes it easier for you to network and to navigate and to participate in things that are happening around the city. So already covered where we are located. So this is an example of alumni success from Blue Mountains. This, a lot of people might be more familiar with this kind of trajectory and this kind of career path in terms of joining a hotel. But when you look at it, I would like to also highlight that, if you look over Jack's trajectory of 18 years, he started, of course, in front office, but since then he's worked in, 2 to 3 different countries. But more importantly, he's also worked in different departments. I think a lot of our students, when you initially graduate, when you only completed your internship, maybe you've worked for a year or two in a particular department. You see one department and you only see that pathway about how you can get seniority, get a better post, and get a better salary. But here you can see that, he did front office. He actually became a revenue manager. He became an executive assistant, and 2019 he actually won an award for general manager of the year. So as you can see, general manager is the idea is not to climb up to that ladder as soon as possible. The idea is to learn as much as possible, because that gives you more opportunities to diversify your career path. So this is a very, very, very small snapshot of the kind of companies that are coming to hire from us. Of course, we wanted to show off all the primary hotel brands. Some of you, a lot of these you will recognize, like Shangri-La, Four Seasons, Marriott, Hyatt. But at the same time, you'll also see companies like Emirates, which is a flight company. But as you know, Emirates is also a luxury. The class, the in terms of the price band, Emirates is always on the higher side. That means they invest in other things like leisure retail. So they'll have, when you talk about where can you shop, when they tie up with things like luxury brands that you can buy on the flight, all of that, whom you can get in touch with in terms of the accommodation, luxury, the first class lounges, all of these tie into hospitality, and that's how they also hire. Disney international programs should not really be a surprise. Disney is most commonly, of course, known for Disneyland, Disney World, that they have in different, they have different outlets in different parts of the world. Florida is their main. Hong Kong is another very popular Disneyland. But do you know, almost pretty much every Disneyland would be attached to a resort, because people actually come in for the weekend. They don't do it just as a one-day thing. Disney also has their own cruises. So as you can see, there are a lot of tie-ins to hospitality, and there are a lot of opportunities for students to hire with these kind of companies. So this is just to give you an example. Again, all of this is just to highlight how we give opportunities to our students in terms of hiring and where they can go. So I'm just going to cover now a brief about the current COVID situation. As most of you all will know, of course, pretty much all universities that can have gone online. We were quite privileged, because Torrens University already had a couple of programs that were fully online. So we did not waste any time. What this means is that for our students, when March happened and, the global shutdown happened, our students were not left hanging and left wondering whether or not they'll complete their program. None of that happened. Although physical distancing and lockdown went into effect even in Australia, students stayed in their home. They went directly online. Students who are supposed to graduate on time will actually probably graduate on time, depending on where they were in their internship and how many hours. But for all the theory that we have, they will all complete it on time. For our newer students, we actually had students who enrolled. So we had, for Blue Mountains, we had the April intake, and we had the July intake that just started. And for William Blue, for the other hospitality undergraduate programs, we had, after the lockdown, we had March 30th, we had June, and then again July with intakes that started. And we've had students who have signed up. I will assure students that for those looking to move ahead, the fact is that we have the next upcoming intake is for September. For all, we have September dates for all of our programs. For those wondering if they should start, if they should go ahead and start with, online classes, I would definitely recommend you start with at least the minimum number of subjects, because I know quite a few of you all will have a gap in your profile. And remember, you still have to apply for your visa possibly. And as of right now, yes, just yesterday, the Australian government gave a couple of positive updates, of course. One is that they're going to resume processing visa. So people who have filed for visa before the lockdown and have had it, stuck in process, we're crossing our fingers and hoping that will start being processing soon. They're going to do that soon. And another great piece of news was the fact that Australian government said that for students who start with online because of COVID-19, because a lot of students were actually worried about how it would affect their work visa after graduation. The government has said that if you started if you're doing online studies because of COVID-19, it will absolutely be counted as regular studies, because they understand that these are extreme circumstances and that students are investing a lot in their degrees in Australia. So that's something that's also been great. So I'm going to now exit the presentation, and I think we can actually now get into Q&A, because I could speak a lot more, but I think it would help, for Manish and I to just take the questions and address them as we get them. So again, guys, please put in your questions in the chat box. Manish will handle them, and Manish, you can go ahead and start addressing the
Actually,
questions.
I just have one query. I think it's migration related, but I'll let you answer in your own way.
Sure.
Is there any chances for getting a PR after I complete hospitality management? That's the question.
Sure. So this is a very common question. I will say that if you're looking at technically, especially when you talk about PR, one of the things that people normally consult is the list. There's a list of employment where there's a list of certain jobs that the government of Australia says you will get so many points because these are the industries that we want people in, right? We are lacking people in these
Right.
industries.
Right.
Now, their hospitality is not, because the fact is that hospitality is doing very well in Australia, and you have a lot of people both domestically and internationally. Having said that, it doesn't mean that you won't get PR. It's not a yes or a no for PR. It's just important to remember that it doesn't, even if that was on the skills list, even if hospitality was on the skills list, it does not mean you would automatically get that.
Yeah.
Remember that PR, what I normally tell students with regards to PR is, it's not wrong to want it. Everybody wants a better shot, a shot at a better life. You want the opportunity to create a better standard of living in a country like Australia, and that's absolutely fine. But don't select Australia as a country to study because you want PR. The smarter way would be to really invest in the right program, because the right program can help you get a job anywhere and to create a better life anywhere, including your home country. Also remember that if you're banking on PR, the problem with that is that's not your country and rules can change anytime. So that's something, and you're looking at possibly 5-6 years into the future. You have to complete your program, you have to complete your PSW, your post-study work visa. Possibly you'll have to complete a couple of more years depending on what the criteria is for how long you need to be in that country, and only then can you apply for PR. So between those 5 to 6 years, you don't know what can change. You have to be prepared for anything. So my suggestion is, yes, you can work towards PR, but don't keep that as the only thing for yourself.
Yeah, actually, most of the Nepalese students, they're worried about the PR even before they start applying.
Exactly.
And then that leads them to apply for some course they are not even interested in. And then
Exactly.
once they get to Australia and find out the reality, they want to change, and lots of problems happen over
Yes.
there.
Yes.
I just wanted to clear one more thing regarding the residential Leura campus. The industry placements, that happens in the second semester, is it? And the fourth for the
I'm
bachelor.
sorry, could you repeat that again?
The industrial placement,
Yes.
does it happen in Leura campus itself, or the students go somewhere else?
No. So for all of our placements, and especially the Laura campus, students, with regards to the Laura campus, students are required to go completely off campus.
Okay.
They are required to, because if you saw this thing, they're not paying for anything, and that includes they're not paying for accommodation. So what that means is that they're required to live completely off campus. And this is why the other reason for this is they don't have to work only in Sydney, because of course Sydney is the closest city. They can actually work anywhere in Australia.
Anyway.
Technically, they can work anywhere in the world, but for students coming from our region, visa-wise, working in Australia makes the most sense.
So is it
But you
the
can
own
work.
responsibility to find the industrial placement, or does Blue Mountains
No, Blue
International?
Mountains definitely helps. So
Okay.
for all of our hospitality programs, if we have an internship, we organize career fairs for students. This means
Okay.
that probably a month or so before you actually go on your internship, we have a career fair, which means we invite multiple companies. It's sort of like an open forum, literally like a fair, and it's more of an informal interaction in the sense of there will be some companies who will probably hire you on the spot, depending on your conversation, your CV, how you
We can
present
provide you
yourself.
accommodation as well.
I'm sorry?
Even provide you with accommodation as well.
No. So again, accommodation, I would say really depends on the company itself.
Yeah.
I do not see a hotel company in a city is highly unlikely to provide you accommodation at all. If you're looking for accommodation, or if you feel that's something that you want, then students would be smarter to look at more remote destinations, either at the beach, or standalone and remote destinations, either the beach or in the desert, which would provide you with accommodation simply because you don't have a lot of options around.
Right.
And if you're keeping that in mind, the other thing you'll have to keep in mind is anytime a company provides you with accommodation, there's a give and take in your pay rate,
Right.
right?
Right.
So say, for example, if student A will get a job opportunity in Sydney or in Melbourne with the Four Seasons, the hotel is located in the heart of the city. They're not going to provide you with accommodation because there are plenty of options, and they will make that up in pay. So if the minimum pay which every student will have to get is at least approximately $17 an hour right now in Australia, maybe if that student is working in Sydney, maybe they're getting $20 an hour. Okay, compensating for things like accommodation, travel, because you're in the city and standard of living is higher. But maybe the student who gets a job placement in Uluru Desert, right? Where you're in the middle of the desert, probably it's one of these luxury outtakes with safari, night safari and all of that. Because they're probably giving you accommodation, and you'll probably have meals covered as well because it's in the middle of nowhere, they'll probably give you only $17 an hour. But you're probably saving a lot as well. And it's a completely different
You're not
experience.
spending anything on food and
Right?
accommodation, right?
So one thing that students definitely have an advantage is that you have the opportunity to interact with different people. Nobody is holding a gun to your head to say, if you have an offer from here already, you can't come back again. All right. And second is one of the things where I was talking about success coaches giving you training about how do you develop your professional profile. One of the things that students will learn through trial and error is how do you also negotiate for your pay. So that's also something, as you go along, you will find that, especially in countries like Australia, which are more forward and more equal, so to speak, especially in the workforce. It's not that anything that somebody offers you that you have to take and go, you'll not get anything better. It also means when you are able to negotiate, that means that you are presenting yourself as somebody who is smart, who knows, who has good knowledge, and who is smart enough to negotiate for what their value is.
Better choices as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
So it's
for those students who are studying at lower campus, for the industry placement, Blue Mountains is responsible for finding the industrial placements.
Yes.
And apart from that, all the costs should be borne by the student himself or herself.
One other,
everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one other thing I just want to highlight, yes, it is absolutely our responsibility to put students in touch and to give you maximum opportunities for placement, but we do not put you anywhere. Okay. What that means is that I'm not going to pluck a student and say, okay, now you're working in Four Seasons in Melbourne. Because the idea is that I want you to learn how to navigate that and negotiate that. And plus, if I do that, I may be putting a student who is lazy in a fantastic opportunity which they have not worked for. And a student who has really proved themselves on campus, who's outgoing, who's participating in everything, may get, a company that is maybe not so well known, but they've got their eye on something else and they want to prove something bigger. So the idea is also to get students to learn how to prove yourselves and to make something work for yourself.
Okay, I've got one more query for you.
Sure.
It just says, what about Master of Business in February intake? It probably means Master of International Hotel Management.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, for starting 2021, so for Blue Mountains, we typically have 4 intakes a year. That's Jan, April, July, and September. that is fixed. And for the Torrens calendar, the other 3 programs, undergraduate programs, which is Culinary, Hospitality, and Tourism, that would be Feb, June, and September. And typically for these intakes for Torrens, which I said Feb, June, and September, we will also have like a secondary intake in the middle of the term. So for example, I think Manish, you probably already know about this. If there's an intake in Feb, we will have like a B intake again late in March, so that students who had last minute, who could not complete their GT for whatever reason, you don't have to wait another 6 months. You can actually take another month and start again. So stay in touch with your counselors at Grace, because they'll be able to better tell you which intakes are available and prepare you accordingly.
Any suggestions for students who are willing to apply, in the coming days?
Yes. So our next intakes, like I said, for Blue Mountains, for those studying the master program or the bachelor program at Laura, the next intake is September 30th.
Internet.
Manish, can you hear me? Hi, Manish. I think it's dropped. Hi, Manish. Can you hear me? I think you're on mute. Okay, great. Okay, great. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I understand. No problem. So I was just talking about the next upcoming intake. So for Blue Mountains, for our undergraduate and for masters, the next intake date is 30th September. And for and then the intake after that is November 2nd. So if anyone is interested in applying, please go ahead. You can actually start your applications right now. I will say that given the current travel scenario, we do not see people actually being able to travel probably till the end of the year. And this is being very realistic, because I'm sure for Nepal, I know you'll have had a very long lockdown, especially with regards to NOCs for financial transactions, fee payments. This has been really tough for you guys. So, so I know that will take a little time to open up. Plus, if you actually see the way travel corridors are opening up for, like for example, tomorrow, Australia might be open to having students come in from Nepal, India, Sri Lanka, all of these places. But if your country is not open up, that also creates a problem for you, right? Yeah. So what I would suggest to students, especially if you have a gap where the last thing you've done is, 2019, early 2020, please go ahead and start with your minimal number of subjects for online classes, because this is a temporary solution, right? Once travel opens up, of course, you'll be able to move. And also remember that you still have to apply for your visa. And on your visa, right now, because a lot of universities have gone online, we don't know how they're going to treat COVID-19 reason as a big gap. So if you have the opportunity, and if you can start online, my suggestion is to start online, because also for you guys personally, please remember that the more gap you have not doing anything, you are also losing touch with the way you study and your industry. So that's also not healthy. At least if you start even with 1 or 2 subjects, you will understand what is expected of you, how to navigate. And also, I think unfortunately, one of the things students are not realizing is that everyone's thinking that once travel happens, you are going to go to Australia, and what your senior told you about what he did, you're going to experience. Not going to happen, because of the current scenario with social distancing. Remember that part of your program is still going to be online, even if you're in Australia. Okay, because things like number of students in a classroom, number of people on campus allowed will change. I can't change how big a concrete room is, but I can change how many people can fit in, right? So these are things everybody has to adapt to some sort of learning online. I'm sure Manish and I will can give you all enough stories about how we have had to adapt online and why we are doing this virtual fair right now online.
Otherwise,
All
we
right.
could have got you out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have done it face to face. So you were saying
Absolutely.
2019 pass outs are okay to apply at Blue Mountains at the moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, 2019 pass outs are absolutely okay to apply. That's actually why we are encouraging students to apply, because once visas processes and once visas are being granted again, and once travel opens up slowly, you're not going to have a lot of time to say that you're going to have a very small window where you can still use COVID-19 as an excuse for not doing anything. My suggestion is, if you're seriously thinking about studying, maybe you might not be able to start in September, but please at least start your application processes. Don't leave it for last minute. Once travel corridors open up, all the students who have their documents in place are going first.
So even for students who only have an offer letter, they can join online classes at the moment?
Yes. So what's happening is, with regards to the enrollment process has not changed. Once students get an offer letter, they need to complete their GTE, submit all the documents. Once they get their COE, they'll be able to start their classes online.
Okay, not before the COE then.
No, not before the COE, because there are also certain payments, certain deposits to be paid, right? So, and like I said, right now, because the Australian government has said that if you start online, it's as good as face-to-face, given the current scenario. That's good news for our students.
No, I asked you this question because we had those kind of offers as well, online classes before. So, yeah, that's the reason I asked you the question. Anyways, I think we pretty much cover all the subjects in detail.
Yep.
I do not have any more queries in the chat box. So I think we can end the session right here. I would like to thank you for taking time to talk to us and all the information. Please stay safe and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Manish. You too. Thank you, everyone.